So I just got out of the cinema for Spider-Man No Way Home. And if you know me, you know that I'm not a huge fan of the previous Tom Holland Spider-Man movies, but this one far exceeded my expectations, and not just because of certain characters that show up in the film. Tom Holland's Spider-Man is actually really good in this one as well. The story just kind of flowed better in general, and the visual effects were astounding. Not just because, you know, bringing back Doctor Strange, you're immediately going to have some much more interesting visuals, but I feel like John Watts as a director has really improved since the last two movies, specifically in terms of like the action set pieces that he's able to create. Granted, the fact that the action was kind of the best parts of the previous Spider-Man movies, but this one I feel just improved vastly on a visual level. And being Australian, I technically get to see this movie before the Americans do, which gives me vast power right now, which I'm going to exploit. So if you're American and you don't want this movie spoiled for you, not that Marvel hasn't already done a good enough job with their own promotional material, I'm going to be spoiling Spider-Man No Way Home right now. So first off, Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield are in the movie. The audience was on fire when they showed up. It was so good. And they're not just there as like pointless cameos. They do actually serve a genuine purpose to the story, and I'm amazed. The fan service in this film is really well handled. I actually originally thought that it would just be the villains would kind of show up for a little bit and then piss off. Instead, they're an integral part of the story. Now, granted, they didn't need to make a multiverse movie for the next Spider-Man film, but I'm not complaining. You get plenty of references to previous Spider-Man movies. Willem Dafoe even says, "I'm something of a scientist myself." And the audience loved it. Every time like a character from a previous Spider-Man movie showed up, the audience lost their minds. And I think obviously it wouldn't be the same if I had seen this a few weeks from now. The fact that I saw this opening day is definitely why the audience went crazy. They went crazy during all whenever Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield did really anything, the audience applauded. You could tell there was heaps of people that just hadn't been to the movies in a while. And the big like moment where all three Spider-Men pose in front of the character had real impact to it, not just because Tobey and Andrew are just there. They actually, you know, have their own little character arcs in this film. Tobey Maguire's character is an older Spider-Man who's kind of done a lot of this shit and is really like physically tired. And Andrew Garfield is still kind of dealing with the grief of the death of Gwen Stacy. So he gets this great moment, and a lot of people theorize that this might happen, where he gets to save MJ after she's falling off the Statue of Liberty. But Tobey also has a great moment when he's confronting the Green Goblin near the end of the film, and the Green Goblin stabs him. And that's cool. The audience actually thought he was going to die, but I don't think they were going to kill off more than one major character, because Aunt May dies in this film as well. And Aunt May's death, other than maybe Yondu and Iron Man, Aunt May's death is probably one of the best handled deaths in the MCU, because so often they'll just kind of do the death scene, but it won't have any impact, or they'll have a joke immediately after, or yeah, it just won't feel weighty enough. But they really linger on her death. Like she's kind of almost suffering before she dies. And Marisa Tomei did a fantastic job with that scene. The ending, I think, is probably one of the most emotional endings in the MCU so far as well. Having Doctor Strange actually erase everyone's memories of not just Peter Parker as Spider-Man, but Peter Parker in general, gave some real weight to the decision that Peter had to make at the end of the film. Which is something that I've complained about with a lot of Marvel movies. I don't really talk about it much on my YouTube, but I wanted to do it at the moment because of this clickbait title that I can exploit. But also because I think this is genuinely one of the best MCU movies so far. I'm gonna need to watch it again. I still think Shang-Chi is my favorite MCU movie released this year, but yeah, I'm definitely thinking that I really hope that Spider-Man No Way Home gets better with each rewatch rather than getting worse, because I feel like the fan service of this movie kind of has a chance to not have the same impact on rewatches like a lot of the MCU does, but I really hope it doesn't, because I actually really liked this movie. The ending of Spider-Man Far From Home, I felt, could have really gone in any direction, and the direction that they took it was actually really cool. I loved the inclusion of J. Jonah Jameson in this movie. Being basically an InfoWars parody is perfect, and I'm really curious to see how Peter kind of ends up working for the Daily Bugle. But I was also hoping that the ending of Far From Home could also lead to a Craven movie, because it would have been perfect. Revealing the identity of Spider-Man as Peter Parker basically would have led someone to hiring Craven to kill Peter Parker, which I thought would have been perfect. But at the moment, that's definitely not going to happen, because now nobody knows who Peter Parker is. And I think it's implied now that either Peter's not going to talk to them at all, and this is a completely fresh start for this character, because now we're going to have the college years for MCU Peter. So I'm curious to see whether or not he does go back and try to convince his previous friends that they know him, or that he knows them, or if he'll just move on and start a new life, maybe with a Gwen. Maybe he'll get a Felicia. I am much more interested in the future of MCU Spider-Man now after this movie than I was after the previous film. Let me know if you'd be interested in any more of these kind of right after the movie in the car reviews like this. I might do them for future Marvel movies or future big blockbusters. It'll be interesting, I don't know. But also, if you want to see my review for Zack Snyder's Justice League, let me know in the comments below, because I did do one in April and then accidentally kind of put it on hold because I had a whole bunch of other stuff to edit, and then I kind of forgot about it. But if you do want to see that, let me know. But for now, see you later.